Thank you to Anthony Verdugo of the Christian Family Coalition, David and Lynette G, and to all the elected. Thank you to the Christian Family Coalition, Anthony Verdugo, David and Lynette G, who helped put this together, and to all the elected officials and guests for the opportunity to share a little bit of my story with you this morning. My name is John Labriola, and for most of the last 8 years, I was working on the public relations staff of the chair of the Miami-Dade County Commission. I say I was working because something happened a few months ago that changed all that. One weekend, on my private time, and as a private citizen, I wrote a commentary in an online newsletter criticizing the so-called Equality Act, which had just passed the U.S. House of Representatives on a nearly party-line vote. Now, we all know how the Equality Act would allow men to compete in women's sports, we just heard about that, and use women's bathrooms and shower rooms and so forth. But what most concerned me, and it's the point that I stressed in my commentary, is how the Equality Act and the LGBT agenda as a whole threaten our freedom of speech and religion. By making any dissent or disagreement with LGBT ideology an illegal act of so-called discrimination. In other words, it seeks to redefine our freedom of speech as Christians as discrimination. Ironically, the fears that I expressed in my commentary were soon borne out because I was soon suspended from my job without pay and without warning by the Miami-Dade County Commission, which unfortunately has already signed on to many of the goals of the Equality Act. I was also ordered to register for a so-called anti-discrimination training that amounted to a re-education camp to disabuse me of my bigoted notion that a man can't become a woman and vice versa by just saying so. When I objected to the training as a violation of my conscience rights as a Christian, I was fired. The quality of my work didn't matter. My years of loyal service didn't matter. All the positive evaluations I'd received from my supervisors over the years didn't matter. All that mattered was that I was found to have unacceptable biblical views, and the entire LGBT woke mob was demanding my head on a platter, thanks in large part to a front-page attack article on me published by the Miami Herald. So as Christians, we are really looking to you for help, because the entire LGBT agenda, as it's now formulated, is about making Christianity illegal and crushing any and all dissent. And we need to fight back, and fight back hard, or we will lose all our freedoms. For starters, I believe we need stronger laws at the state and local levels to protect Christians, particularly those working in the public sector, from the kind of employment discrimination that I suffered at the hands of the government in the name of so-called LGBT rights, which has really become a zero-sum game, because every so-called right they are now demanding comes at the expense of the rights of Christians to speak, work, and even exist. Don't you agree? Finally, if you need any help drafting or promoting the kind of legislation I'm talking about, I happen to still be looking for a job, so I'd be more than glad to offer my services. Thank you again. God bless you. Please keep